greatest people also. Maybe that's the most important thing. So we want to have borders, we want to have security, we want to have things be good, safe, we want great education, we want a strong and powerful military, and ideally we don't have to use it. You know, we had no wars, 4 years we had no wars. Many people told me that God spared my life for a reason.
Okay, that was the victory speech of America's President elect, Donald Trump, after he was declared winner during the presidential election last Tuesday. Okay, thank you for we want to take a look at President Trump's presidential election victory. What are the likely impacts on the African continent, most especially Nigeria? Days after Trump's re election, Africa is grappling with the prospects of what his second term could mean for the continent. Will it favor Africans or otherwise? But from the look of things and the record of his first stint in office between 2017 and 2021, and his speech, African continent, especially Nigeria, should brace up for a challenging 4 years. However, his win on Tuesday last week over Vice President Kamala Harris drew immediate congratulations from African leaders, with Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Ethiopia's Abiy Ahmed, Nigeria's Bola Tinubu, and South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa. They were among those that quickly reached out to Donald Trump.
But going by the first term of Trump's as the President of America, many experts believe Mr. Trump's foreign policies will shift away from multilateral partnerships with aid, trade, and climate agreements now uncertain. Mr. Trump's focus could be limited to how Africa fits within his broader geopolitical objectives, concerning his rivalry with China. Those who fall in line will be favored. Others, pressure to conform, may likely face the music, going by Trump's track record during his first stint in power between 2017 and 2021. According to analysts, the president-elect of America is a dealer. Trump transacts with any continent or country is based on what he gets. Also, political sociologists pointed out that human rights and democracy, which was emphasized by Biden, may not be prioritized for strategic interest under Trump, meaning that some African countries' leaders' disregard for human rights may increase.
Trump may actually target countries deemed to be acting against US interests. This could strain relationships with democracies like South Africa, which has criticized US support for Israel and maintained strong ties with Russia and China. South Africa, which, despite recent tensions with Washington, counts on the US as a key economic and strategic partner, and would not want that. There is every possibility of economic ties to be in jeopardy. Trump's return to office also places the future of the African Growth and Opportunity Act (AGOA) in jeopardy, with the current agreement set to expire next September. Donald Trump may not renew the agreement. The AGOA was first enacted in 2000. This provides African countries with duty-free access to the US market for specific products. Mr. Trump, known for his aversion to multilateral agreements, may view AGOA as leverage to negotiate more advantageous bilateral deals, risking the existing framework. Mr. Trump will use every instrument at his disposal, including AGOA, to strong arm African governments.
In December 2022, Biden's administration pledged $55 billion over 3 years to African nations, but these investments could be at risk as Trump may rearrange U.S. foreign aid towards its strategic priorities. Across the world, there are fears that Trump's approach would be catastrophic for Africa, which bears the negative impact of climate change despite minimally contributing to global emissions. Increase globally and refine Africa's climate skepticism poses a major concern for the continent. You will remember that he previously withdrew the US from Paris Climate Agreement and his re-election raises fears of a repeat exit. Geopolitical consequences. Trump's victory could also have other geopolitical consequences for Africa. The Biden administration had supported two permanent seats for Africa on the United Nations Security Council, but Trump may not buy the same view. Lastly, analysts have predicted that Trump may likely put pressure on African nations to distance themselves from Beijing, China, creating difficult choices for countries reliant on Chinese infrastructure, funding, and trade.
That pressure could backfire. Experts argue that Mr. Trump's detachment from Africa could spur the continent to seek alternative partnerships. Dear listener, the discourse this morning is focusing on President-elect of America, Mr. Donald Trump's election victory. What are the likely effects on the continent of Africa, most especially Nigeria and other related issues? You too can be part of the discourse by dialing our studio numbers when the time comes. In the meantime, our guest, Chief Samson Odebo, FCA, a Senior Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
sir.
Good
Chief
morning,
Odebo.
listeners and everybody.
Thank you very much, Chief Portable, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, let's start this way, sir. There is this fear that President-elect America, Mr. Donald Trump, may have disregard for African countries, most especially Nigeria. Going by his record of first stint as the president between 2017 and 2021. Would you subscribe to this fear?
No, I don't.
Okay.
What he has done in the first instance. In the first instance, he was able to surmount everything against him to have come back
All
again.
challenges.
Yes, all challenges. And if you see it, if you analyze it critically, it is handiwork of God that is in Trump now. Because Trump has become a changed man, spiritually and otherwise. If you now look at the circumstances surrounding his coming back again, it is those people that actually sent him away, that actually brought him back this time around. And you will see that this time around he succeed in two assassination attempts. If I'm not wrong, at least I'm aware of one. Yes.
Appears this year.
Yeah, the criminal charges against him, all offenses against him, by any human calculation, Donald Trump will not have come back as the president this time around. But because God actually wants him to come back for a particular reason or a particular thing, he has come back. And as soon as he came back, what he did, he busted into praise worship. And he became a changed personality. You see, going further, why I said I do not agree that it's going to target Africa. No, it's not going to target Africa. If you analyze Donald Trump critically, you will know that Donald Trump is a specially bred American who has interest in African development. He's always been saying that you Africans, go back to Africa, develop your continent, develop your country. You are capable of feeding the entire world. He has been saying, what I'm trying to say is that go back to your country, develop your country. We are here, we have developed our own country. Don't ever come here under any circumstances. And that actually, you see, that actually, if you look at it critically, the executive order that he has given, that come January 2025, all illegal immigrants will have to be deported back. It means a lot for Africa. Then number two, he said anybody who wants to be a citizen of America, one of his parents. So it's a departure from those days when a Nigerian or an African will just go to USA, bear his children there, and then the children automatically becomes a citizen. So that's exactly what he's trying to correct. That you Africans, you have enough resources, you have everything to your advantage. Why are you running here? Go back develop your country. And you people that are illegally migrants in this country, we don't want you again because you have contributed a lot to the crime rate in America. And that's exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do now. Like I said, my submission is that second coming will be a departure from first coming.
Now, Chief Olepo, let us take a look at the possible impact such a disregard for the African continent. Sometimes people fear that now that Donald Trump is coming to the saddle again, that what is the fate of Africans and the African continent? There are a lot of agreements that have been in place under the Biden administration, AGOA agreement and all sorts. Do you think this can be sustained, and what are the possible effects of Donald Trump coming back to the saddle?
Yes, it can be sustained, or let me say it might be sustained, but in a different way. You see, Trump does not believe in giving you aid. He does not believe in giving you loan. He believes in a sort of trade relationship whereby you come on the table, we discuss, you go along this way, I go along this way. For development of your area, I am not going to feed you with aids that are slavery in nature, in the sense that if I give you aid, it means that you are going to abide by the content of what the aid is trying to target. And if I'm going to give you aid, it means my own personal interest must be uppermost. And that's exactly what Trump is trying to do. He said, I'm not going to give you aid to enslave you. What I'm going to do is that we come on the table and then we have a sort of what we call trade agreement between the two of us, so that we'll be able to judge and war, and then we'll be able to be independently, in the sense that you can go on and have what we call economic independence, and political independence. No attachment to me, no constraints from me. And if you look at it again, he has put in place certain tax cuts. He said in America today, anything that is given to you in support of your welfare will no longer be taxed. He has said that. And then he has also said that tariff will be increased. That is, any good or goods or services that are coming to America is going to attract a higher tariff, which means that don't just bring anything to us in America. Develop yourself, and then we will develop ourselves. And then when we come globally, if you are developed and have developed globally, we are going to benefit. That's what he's trying to say. It means more tax cut for the American citizens and less foreign goods into America. Especially, he said in China, the tariff in China will be even higher than 10%, which means that he doesn't want all these type
Chinese
of good
products.
Chinese. No, he's not saying that he doesn't want Chinese products. He doesn't want America to be a dumping ground for Chinese products. That's what he's trying to say.
Okay, just that he doesn't want US to be infiltrated with Chinese products.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, if you look at the peace that is said within 24 hours or also coming in, it's going to end the war in Ukraine. And he said he's going to do it in a way that we will go to the round table, it's going to be give and take. So if you look at his campaign measures, and if you look at his charismatic way of doing things, if you look at his courage, you will see that the totality of Donald Trump now is completely a changed individual.
Now, the US aid to Africa is currently about $8 billion annually, and this could be reduced under Donald Trump's administration, especially programs like PEPFAR, the US President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which forms a major part of US aid. Vaccine programs, HIV/AIDS programs, and reproductive health programs are among those at risk. So, what would be the hope of Africa if the US aid to the continent should be reduced or even stopped by the Trump's administration?
It's going to be reduced. There's no doubt about it, because he has his own way of doing things. He said, I'm not going to enslave you by giving you aid or by supporting you and asking you to do certain things. It's going to be a sort of trade relation. It's going to be a political relation between me and you. That will enable African continent or countries to even come in and develop their own. You know, during the time of COVID, or what is the other time, you remember Abalaka vaccine, which
Yes.
was tested but was rejected over there. So that will encourage domestic research to thrive. It will encourage the pharmacists to look inward and then develop our own our own products domestically. You see, what Donald Trump is trying to do is that go back, develop your country domestically. And if you look at even America itself and the global world, those people that are now making things, making wave in all these countries of the world that we are talking about, most of them are Nigerians. It was because they were given enabling environment to really do it. So that will encourage people to come down, and then it will also be a challenge to African continent as a whole, in particular Nigeria, to really develop domestically its resources, human resources, and everything that you have.
This lovely morning. Now, Chief Odebo, you would really agree with me that Trump's climate skepticism poses a major concern for Africa. He previously withdrew the US from the Paris Climate Agreement during his first term, and his re-election raises fears of a repeat exit. How can Africa this stand of ease?
You see, Trump that I'm seeing now from the spiritual realm, like I said, has become a changed person. He wants to relate with you. He wants to engage you with discussion. He wants to know what you want to do and how can I help you. So to me, my submission to that is that you must have the diplomacy and must be ready to really meet the president of America, elect now, as soon as he comes in, to be diplomatically engaged with him, to be sincere with him, to throw open our aspirations and areas where we want his cooperation. You know, America cannot do without us. There's Sahel oil. What is it? Oil, I think it's oil, crude oil. It's far lower in quality and quantity than our own. And they have been buying our oil for so many years, stockpiling it. So they cannot do without us. They know our potentials in Nigeria, as a continent as a whole, especially in Nigeria. You know, America is about 5 times of Nigeria. So to me, I believe politically in even area of because people that are squandering our money to America, to me, by his policy that is trying to put in place, will minimize or reduce that. Because globally, anybody that becomes criminal in America will become a criminal in the entire globe. That is his policy, and that is exactly what he's trying to work towards. So in terms of security, in terms of fighting corruption, in terms of all this banditry and so, I believe with cooperation between from America and his policies, I believe it's going to be a thing of the past, if not minimized.
Thank you so much. Let's take a look at the trade agreement now, which is, getting uncertain again with Mr. Trump coming into power, because there is possibility of him canceling duty-free access to the U.S. market for specific products that Nigeria and some other African countries are enjoying. Where does that leave Nigeria?
You mean duty free from Nigerian for Nigerian goods?
Yes.
If that is the case, it to the betterment of Nigeria, in the sense that what we have to do is that we have to ensure that we package our goods to meet international standard, so that our raw materials like yam, flour, and
Yes.
must be either semi-processed or processed before they are shipped to America. So it's a plus to us. Like I said, to me, I am seeing from the vanguard, from the spiritual realm, that within the next 4 years of Donald Trump in America and all other things being equal with us in Nigeria, that Nigeria is going to be a changed country. Maybe that is one of those ways that God has actually marked out for us to get out of this hoodlums or anything that we are passing through in Nigeria. Like the songs that actually came to my mind when Trump came in and ascended to see his hand are two. I don't know if you can permit me to sing it. Ẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run bà mí, ẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run bà mí o. Ohun tó bá ti pinnu lọ́kàn rẹ̀, kò sẹ́ni tó lè dá dúró. Kò sẹ́ni tó lè dá dúró. Kò sẹ́ni tó lè dá dúró. Ẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run bà mí o. Ẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run bà mí o. Ohun tó bá ti pinnu lọ́kàn rẹ̀, kò sẹ́ni tó lè dá dúró. God has put it, and nobody was able to change it, despite all odds.
Okay.
Zero two two six. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jordan Bello.
Good to have you, sir.
You are forced me to join spiritually Mr. Samson or Devil. Spiritually, maybe
Discussion.
whatever is Trump now. They are dangerous. I know that there is nothing God cannot do.
Cannot do
The
right.
great pressure
Mm.
all over the world is that Trump is very hard in understanding what you will call African leadership. He blames us as passive, whereas we are all just illiterate people in poverty and inadequacy that cannot hold our leaders responsible for the carelessness, the wastages, and all that is going on in Africa. Trump's position, as of international opinion as of today, is that African leadership is not only corrupt, but they're criminals. So, from his born again, as proposed by Mr. Samson Rebo, stance, maybe the spirit of God will now go into him so that he can see that there are some people that are weak, there are some people that are disadvantaged, there are some people that also have advantages. I do not totally agree with you, sir, that Trump is changed. In Nigeria, and our perception of it is not what is it in America. Trump is very lucky. He is the international relations is concerned when it comes to Africa. So we need to put our houses
In order.
before we can actually benefit from the kind of high class of clean developmental goals that Trump is prophesying now, including the spiritual groups. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
Double B. Your reaction?
Yeah. My brother Double B, you spoke my mind. You spoke my mind in the sense that what Trump actually wants for Africa is better leadership in Africa. But the problem with us now is that why we are not able to get that better leadership we are talking about is the environmental factors that we have created for ourselves. Now, Trump has been elected as incoming president. How much did he pay to obtain form of express interest? But in Nigeria, you pay millions. How much did he pay to finance his election? How much did he pay to give the electorate? How much did he pay to transport people to polling booth and so? That is the environment in which we find ourselves that is militating against us. To my brother, that our current president in Nigeria up to that task, because if you match our president Donald Trump, they always have the similar qualities and similar traits: the sagacity, the courage, the highly principled nature, and determination, the commitment. If you put them aside, they are almost at par. And you know, our president knows the intricacies of the Americans.
Okay, let's take this.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, comrade.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Titi.
Good morning, comrade. Good to have
Good
you.
morning to you. Good morning,
Good morning, my brother.
very much. I love your spiritual perspective to the man Donald Trump.
To God be the glory.
However, President-elect Donald Trump does not have a reputation for keeping promises. He doesn't have that. And but the fact is, Donald Trump will be dealing with African leaders from the very point of suspicion because he does not trust any one of them. He doesn't trust any African leader. And his mistrust or distrust is justified by bad governance that we have in all the countries of Africa. However, the fear is that Donald Trump does not keep promises. And that is one reality we must face. In addition, Donald Trump does not know the intricacies of the African life. He doesn't know. Because most of the leaders in Africa are there. They are deep into the dark regions. They are deep into the dark regions such that people are held captives in their various countries. None of them can claim to have dealings with the light. And that's why I said I love your spiritual angle to this issue. Because most of the people we have in governance in Africa appear to all people, to every discerning mind, as people who are deep, who have covenant with darkness. Because if not, they will take care of their people. No African country is taking good care of its people. Look at Nigeria. Here we are suffering. Can you tell me that a man who has a bent towards the light will subject its people to this kind of suffering? In addition, finally, please, somebody, without naming names now, has been declared as an FBI asset. Do you think such a person will look for good of his people instead of satisfying the interest of FBI and America? We are in for a long haul, and tell hope and pray that Donald Trump's government will be able to keep his promises. Thank you very much, Comrade. I call from a time.
Thank you,
Thank you
comrade
so much,
Adebayo.
comrade.
Your reaction, sir?
Yes, I quite appreciate your apprehension, and you have said it all. Leadership in Africa is our major problem. But I believe we are getting over it. I want to recall what Libya, former Libya president did. That's Gaddafi. Gaddafi was almost doing the same thing that Donald Trump is trying to let African nations do this time around. But what did we do to him? He was assassinated. In Libya, at his own time, the welfare of the people, security of the people, and so many other things were his priority. And he made it and he did it to the extent that any citizen of Libya at that time that was a graduate and he had no job will be given equivalent salary of a graduate, a house, and so many other things. His policy was totally for the liberation of the Libyans, I believe. Yes. But what did we do? And that is exactly what Donald Trump is trying to do. I quite agree with you that there is suspicion and so many other things.
Okay. We have another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
This is I supported your view about the religious aspect. Could sink a children on the ship. Nobody will ever thought that God will come back with all the predicaments and all the problems he faced. But this is the man which came back and the will of God to bring things to change. And his policies, this idea of don't just come in and double yourself in America and then finding a place where you can go, idiots and bad, I welcome them. The straight and policy, I also welcome it. Why don't we, Nigerians, want to shine from our responsibilities? Look at our leaders. Many of them are corrupt. What are we doing to corruption in Nigeria? Nothing. We are just hiding them. When they are caught, nothing is done to them. And so people are in so to the point that the whole country is collapsing. As they will collapse. That don't deal with us. Let us come back home. Let us lead Nigeria. Nigeria is a land of resources, food resources, agricultural products, mineral something. Everything you can think of is in Nigeria. But when we move with it, nothing. We just corrupt ourselves, send all the money abroad, thinking we will get it. Don't let them give us it. Don't let them allow us to come there if we are not legally satisfied. Let the illegal people be brought back and let them come and develop Nigeria. I like his policies. He's a very strict man, although as said, people violate his policies at times. But let us give better. Let Nigerians come and develop Nigeria. Stop corruption. Corruption is killing us, and nobody is doing anything about it. And the problem with us here is that we don't see the good qualities and virtues that should be embraced and celebrated. That we celebrate the democracies, the non-school things, even sensitizing to those who are just corrupting the nation. Let's say, and let Nigerians come and settle down. Enough is enough.
Thank you sincerely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Egbeyemi. Would you like to react to what she said?
Yes, Mommy has said it all. To me, Donald Trump is a God sent. You know, he said he's going to. I think Mexico is in the south, a southern part of Mexico. He said he's going to continue to build the wall that will serve a barricade from people from Mexico to come down. And if you look at his speech concerning Africa, leadership. If you go through it, maybe the way he was saying it could be a sort of embarrassment to African and Nigeria. But he said, give them gun, they will kill themselves. Give them this. Instead of using it for their benefit, they will use it in the opposite direction. So if you look at Trump, totality of Trump, if you analyze him, if you dissect him, Trump is Trump.
Okay, now to wrap it up because of our time, can the emergence of Mr. Trump be a blessing in disguise for Africa? As this may force the continent to now begin to look inward and begin to unite and have better relationships for each other for a better African continent, would lead to dependence on Europe, Asia, or America.
Yes, I agree with you. And conclusively, let me say this. We must strategically position ourselves to maximize potential benefits from this relationship, and then while mitigating risks. What we have to do now is that we have to fortify domestic policies, particularly in the economic, political, social, and then economic diversification in Nigeria, to really take advantage of what Donald Trump, the president-elect and the coming president, will be offering to us in Africa, and especially in Nigeria.
So, Chief Awobajo, can Nigeria also take advantage of the fact that some people in some quarters believe that Donald Trump is in-law to Nigerians, believing that one of his daughters actually got married to
A Lebanese,
Nigerian with Nigerian descent. You
yes.
understand? So, can Nigeria also take advantage? Maybe he can have a soft spot
Yes.
for Nigeria, that okay, Nigeria is also my in-law partly.
Yes, I quite agree with you, because it's going to have a sort of influence, salutary influence on Nigeria, because he will see himself as part of Nigeria because his daughter is here, and then anything that is good for his daughter will be good for him.
Okay, thank you so much for coming to the studio to shed light on our topic this morning, Chief Samson Ojo. It's been so great having you on board this program this morning. We hope that next time that we call on you, you surely oblige us.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Chief Samson Ojo is FCA and a seasoned public analyst. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you.
I must also use this time to appreciate those that we worked together this lovely morning.
Adebimpe Wahad, Bisola Ludotun from the newsroom. Daniel Okichuko has been in charge of ICT, and Samuel Odunoye has been the studio manager, while Yemisi Shodipo produced.
My name is Temitope. Babalola, please do have a beautiful talk.
My name is Titilope Awobajo. Stay tuned for editorial review very shortly.